Jameis, I'll start it off, man. How different has it been without Drew Brees around?
Well, 1 year with Drew Brees taught me so much. So obviously, I would love to have another year with him. But we've communicated some this off season. So he's always going to be. I'm always going to be in his ear as long as I'm playing, probably my whole life.
James, when you say it taught you so much, what specifically do you refer to? What specifically do you mean?
Just how to be a complete pro, how to come to work every day with a purpose and with the initiative.
Jameis, I was really taken by your comments at the youth camp where you kind of acknowledged that you were the number 1 overall draft pick, and then I think you used the word embarrassment to make a point to them about how you can't let that change your focus. How do you handle all that? I mean, did you battle some frustration for a little while when you weren't a starter anymore, or you've had sort of that humility and self-confidence all along?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about being able to be humble and keep your eyes on the prize. Like I'm staying onward. Like I'm moving forward in everything that I do. I have to get better every single year, whether it's a great year or not so good year. My 7 years, about to be 7 years in this league, has been a blessing because I worked my whole life to have the opportunity to be a starting quarterback in this league. One year of not playing has just made me even hungrier to get back at the realm and lead a team.
I also noticed you've worked with Todd Durkin, you worked with Jay Glazer, in addition to the guys you've been working with all along. Is that something new to your approach to go seek out a few different people and just try a little of everything?
Well, it's really just the mentality, trying to expand my knowledge on work, trying to link up with Todd Durkin, specifically because Drew Brees worked with him for over 20 years, and just try to learn things from these guys like Jay Glazer. He's worked with really nothing but Hall of Famers that come out of Unbreakable. So just pushing myself to the limit, being challenged on new levels, and trying to elevate myself.
Regardless of who wins the quarterback position, how much of you guys do you really embrace just how great the offensive line is in terms of the passing game?
And we're always thankful for those big guys up front. We know that games are won up front, and I know that I'm blessed to have an opportunity to play with those men that we have, and they're incredible.
Jameis, you've had some off-season work with Saints receivers. Has that been a pretty good replication of what you normally would get through OTAs and that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Always trying to connect with your guys when they have time, just to build timing, build camaraderie, and just get together. I think that's the best part about being a quarterback is coordinating guys together and going out there and executing and having fun and seeing it coming to fruition when the bullets really start flying.
Jameis, how is your relationship with Taysom? Do you all talk? Obviously you help each other, but just how is that evolving as you all are in competition, but still obviously teammates and friends?
Well, we have the same mentality. Our main focus is to win, and to be our best selves. And I think that's what I respect about Taysom, because he is a man that can do so many great things for this team. He has done so many great things for this organization since he's been here. So just trying to find ways to serve him and work with him is going to make both of us better in terms of leading our teammates and working with them as well.
Jameis, which of your teammates have you been able to work out with this summer, and did it help you learn something about them maybe that you didn't know last year?
So I've been able to work out with Traquan, literally a lot of guys. I worked out with Adam Troutman, Nick Van Nett, Jawan, Ty Montgomery, Marquez Callaway, Tony Jones, a handful of guys, and it's always worth it. And yes, with every experience, with anyone, you're gonna learn something about them new every single day. You learn how they move, how can you push them, should you push them? Do you need to lay off on them? Everything. Leadership is an ongoing thing, and the more that I can understand the men that I'm around, the better that we'll be able to direct them and both get on the right path and be able to have the same goals. And that goal is to win football games.
So did they come to you, or have you all just kind of been working out wherever is convenient, I guess, this year?
Yeah,
Before,
we've been a few places. We've been on the West Coast. We've been on the East Coast. But the main thing is that we've been together, and that's what Coach Payton he wants. He wants us to be together as a team, and that's it.
I promise we'll stop bringing up Breeze every time we ask you a question. But one thing you used to always talk about when you worked with guys and just was working with new receivers is just learning like their body language and things like that. How big of a deal is that for you with the way you play the game?
Well, last year I didn't get a lot of reps, live reps with these guys, and even on air. I was the third guy, so Drew and Taysom were getting a lot of reps with these starting receivers. So it's been amazing to get a chance to work with the guys at the receiving corps, especially because they're all young guys. They're new to the league, so they're eager to learn. They're eager to work, and I'm eager to get to learn them. But definitely, like if Drew said it, I'm working it too. Reading guys' body language, seeing how they come in and out of breaks, it's important for anticipation and timing in the offense.
You mentioned last year that he taught you just to focus on making the right decision in terms of avoiding turnovers. So how much do you look at that now when you look at necessarily the study in the classroom of making the right decision, even if sometimes it goes wrong, like a ball gets tipped, just focus on making the right decision, the right throw.
It was making the right decision and not worrying about the result. And that's what it's like. It doesn't matter if the result is good, and the result can be bad sometimes. But we don't want to be making decisions just for a great result. We want to be making the right decision, period. And that's what he's taught me, and I've been carrying that on until I've been applying that in my workouts. I've been applying that with my teammates.
I don't know if this is just like from the camera or whatever, but like you look thinner. If you lost weight.
No, I just got a nice haircut, man. Got a nice haircut, right. Trimmed up. I started looking good for y'all. I knew I wasn't gonna speak to y'all, so I had to come presentable.
Got to get right for the media.
Jameis, what is the biggest difference between from everything you've learned over the last year? Is it in approach? Is it in training? Is it in when you get on the field and make decisions? What do you think is the biggest change you've made since a year from now?
Well, it's a process, right? When you first start a job, you're trying to fill out and you go all in and you learn different things along that path. This is going to be my 7th year, and I learned so many different things that I can apply to help me to my game now. And I've learned some things that I don't need to apply to my game. And one thing I have learned specifically over the past 2 years is not necessarily doing the things that is being able to say no, like doing the things that you like, not doing the things that you should not do instead of just doing the things that you should do. Because being an NFL quarterback, everybody can get back there and throw the ball, but being able to make those decisions that, hey, we cannot do this is really a big factor into, are you going to be a great quarterback or you're going to be average?
And how much time have you gotten to spend on the field working with the offense this offseason? I know you guys aren't having a traditional OTA minicamp. Have you done some on-field work, 11 on 11 or 7 on 7?
We've been able to dib and dabble on a few competitive things, but mainly just with centers, receivers, tight ends, and running backs. We haven't been able to bring the big guys all together, but we're gonna try to get that done here shortly.
Have you noticed some tweaks in certain playbook plays, anything with your input or that's designed to sort of feature the things you like or anything like that that's different than last year when you were sort of working in the playbook that was designed around Drew?
Yeah, we've made a few adjustments, but my main goal, man, is to master what we've already done here. We've been very successful as an offense over the course of 15 years, and these coaches, they're used to the same guy being back there. So I'm trying to just continue to grasp this offense, and within that, I can find things in this offense conceptually that I really like, and some things that I don't have much love for.
I'm also curious, what's your sort of philosophy and history with throwing to running backs? It's obviously a strength of Alvin Kamara's to catch the ball out of the backfield. Is that something that depends on the personnel you've had year by year, or it's plays that haven't been called as much in previous offenses?
Well, when you have a running back as talented as him, you make it a focal point to get guys like that the ball. In my career, I've had dominant pass catchers at the receiver position and at the tight end position. I've had great running backs, but not as dynamic as Alvin Kamara out of the backfield and in the slot position.
Jameis, how long has it been? Would it be back, I guess, maybe to your redshirt freshman year of like 2013 that you felt like you were in a real head-to-head quarterback competition? And are there any like lessons learned? I know you were a much younger man then, but when was the last time you were actually in, a competition like this?
I believe every year I'm in a competition. Like, this is the NFL. This is a job. I don't go into any year with expectations. Like last year, I felt like I was competing against Drew Brees in training camp. Realistically, I probably knew that I wasn't going to be the starting quarterback for the Saints that year. But every year, since I've been playing Little League football, I've been in competition. I think that's the sport. Like, that's how we get better. If you are playing the sport with believing that, hey, I got this position locked down, it's very tough for you to get better.
We're good?
Yeah, we're good. All right. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Alvin, hello again.
How you doing?
Since we just finished talking with Jameis, what are your impressions of him and his approach and his attitude, the chances you've gotten to work with him this offseason?
I haven't got to really do too much with Jameis this offseason, but, we've been talking, and, I think his attitude and his mentality is, obviously coming in to do what he's trying to do, and that's have a starting job. I think he's prepared. I think he's ready. I think he feels good about it. It's obviously competition with that. He got to compete with Taysom, and he knows that. Taysom knows that he got to compete with Jameis, but I think they're both of them have the right mentality.
After the last offseason, I think you and Dr. Sharif kind of worked on the lower body to get it right. Were there specific areas you guys targeted this year that you wanted to strengthen up and kind of improve on?
Yeah, I think we kind of just built off last year. Same thing, a lot of lower body focus, a lot of lateral movement focus. It's been a grind this year, honestly. Like, it's just been just evolving, trying to evolve every year, and it's like, I do so much, and I'm moving and excelling and progressing in these movements and these exercises like every day, every week, and it's like it only gets harder. Like, it never gets easier. So we're always trying to find the next thing to do. So he's always trying to stump me, and I think we was last week we was making up stuff during the workout, like just going, just flowing, trying to get me to fail, but it's all in good faith and it means well.
How much did that help last year? Did you feel like week 13, 14, where you felt the results like, I feel stronger at this point now than I did other years?
Oh yeah, that's the goal, for it to translate. So everything that I'm doing is setting up for that season, that long haul. Once we get into week 13, like you said, 14 and going, like, I'm still good. I'm hitting my second, that second win, and I'm feeling good.
Hey, Alvin, do things feel closer to normal this time around with some of the restrictions being lifted, or it still feels like last year?
I think I don't know. I'm kind of like, I'm just doing what I got to do. I don't know. I'm not too focused on all that, but I think just it is a little bit more lax, obviously, because some of the mask mandates and things like that. Just outside of here, out in the city and other cities, it's a little bit more open. So things are starting to open back up, and there's more people moving around, and obviously with the vaccine and things. So I think it's cool.
Now that you've been experienced in the league for a while, Alvin, how much do you compare yourself? Do you look at the other top running backs in the league just as a competitor to say, I want to be even better than them?
I just focus on me, and I like if I'm watching another back, it's to I think it's not really to stack up. It's more like, dang, like Christian, shoot, I love the way he do that, or Alvin, I love the way he do this, or Derek and Saquon, all these guys, Zeke and Nick and all them dudes. I'm just watching, just like as a fan, you know what I'm saying? I'm not watching like, oh, I need to do this better than this guy or that guy. If I'm watching this Drew genuinely just because, like, I mean, I know obviously we all know each other, and I'm just watching as a fan and like admiring the game. I'm not comparing myself to nobody. I got my thing, I got my lane, I stay in my lane, I do what I got to do. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the same thing those dudes. Well, I can't speak for them, but I'm sure they're doing what they got to do to prepare themselves to perform. So that's all I'm focused on. I'm focused on me.
Alvin, first off season without Drew Brees in that locker room, from a leadership perspective, how have things changed? Are there different voices kind of stepping up in certain situations? What's been the biggest difference there?
Yeah, I mean, Drew been here for ages, obviously. So without him, obviously, it's his presence that you obviously notice. That's not here. It's not present. But I mean, we got leaders, we got guys, we got vet guys that had a voice when Drew was here. We got the guys like Cam, DeMario. I mean, I'm in there. I mean, I'm going on my 5th year. Teron, like, I mean, we got guys. Obviously, that was our general. He was our quarterback. He's been our quarterback for a long time. But I think guys are ready to step up, and some guys that maybe might not have been ready or as willing to step up and kind of be supporting cast, like as far as leadership goes. Those guys are stepping into some of those roles. So it's good to see. It's cool to see, man.
My bad if you already got asked this, but you guys are kind of taking a little bit of a different approach to the off-season program there, more classroom stuff. Just how beneficial is that beneficial to you guys as players? You feel like you're getting all the same amount of preparation? Just what's the difference in the standard approach to now for you guys?
With that, I think it makes a lot of difference because it's more mental than physically taxing. It's guys that need some more of that classroom work, like you said, and just to exercise the mind, because it's easy to come out here and say we got to practice 3 days out the week, and you can kind of get through that and do what you got to do, and it's sometimes things get overlooked because you're focusing on the bigger picture as far as having the whole structured practice. Whereas when you're in the classroom, it's more catered to where I'm meeting with my running back group, and we're talking about what we have to do as a running back in pass protection and run schemes and just route concepts, all that. Like, so you get a little bit more time to kind of think things through and figure out the why, the when, and the how. Whereas when you're practicing, it's kind of like you out there and you on the fly with some stuff. Cool.
Great.
Cool. Appreciate y'all.
How beneficial has it been for you just to have this full off season instead of last year when it was, with all the limits you had last year, limitations of the off season?
Yeah, this off season, being able to actually have, go through a whole season and know what I have to work on, understand like what I'm gonna be doing, what position I'm gonna be playing, and understanding what's going to happen for the upcoming season. I benefited a lot from it. I was able to just sit back and slow things down, just watch all my film, just talk to coach, figure out the things I got to work on, and just work on all those things, without being in a rush.
What have they told you as far as, or what do you believe is going to happen as far as your position? Will you slide back to center where you were in college, or do you think you'll be playing more guard? Have they talked to you definitively about something?
Right now I'm just going with what it was last season. I'm just focusing on becoming a guard, figuring out, making sure I have that down before I really try to focus on too many things at once. So that's what I really focused on this all season was, understanding how to, become an actual guard and get used to it.
Hey, when you say become an actual guard and get used to it, what is some of the stuff that is entailed there? Is it just you seeing some different types of rushes, like stunts and stuff like that you maybe didn't see at center? Like, what is that?
Oh no, like when I said that, I mean like just getting used to playing the position. Like I said, I played center so much that last year was my first season really playing a full season of guard. So what I'm saying, like actually just just playing guard and just training at that. The whole life I just trained at center. Actually training at guard. Out of a guard stance. Guard sets. Different rushes and things like that. That's what I meant by that.
All right. So what are some of the different rushes that you see there?
I mean, there's a bunch of different variety of things that you see at guard rather than at center. You got guys that are wired than usual. It's a bigger area of space to work with when I'm going against people at guard than it is at center. So that was the one thing I feel like I had to get adjusted to.
Cesar, I know you said you were able to slow things down this offseason. How fast were things moving for you during the season last year?
Yeah, I was just really just trying to learn a whole bunch of different things at once. So I was trying to learn so much information. I really never slowed things down. Everything was just just going fast. So now that I understand the plays, I understand what my assignments are and things like that. When we're in meetings and stuff, a lot of things are just slowing down, and I'm able to answer stuff faster because like I said, I had that I had that season under my belt and just was able to understand what I had to fix.
Was there something you learned about yourself, or maybe even just the NFL last year? Like, what was the one thing that you took out of last season?
I mean, there's a couple of things I took out of last season, really. I think the biggest thing I took out of last season was, you never know when your name's gonna be called. So whenever it is, you just gotta be ready.
How beneficial is it?
Last question, guys.
How beneficial is it being in the building this year and just being able to be in the same room as your coaches, as opposed to trying to pick stuff up over Zoom and phone calls and stuff like that?
Yeah, I love it. I like this. What I'm saying? I like this. I like being in the room. I like being on the field with my coach. That's how I learn. I like stuff like that. So, for me, it's like the first offseason I got to have with our coaches on the field. In person meetings and stuff like that. So, yeah. So for me, I love it.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
We started off Jameis with, but how different has it been with no Drew Brees around?
Yeah, I mean, it's a significant difference. I'm going in my 5th year, and every year has been with Drew, and so it's a significant difference. I think we've relied on him for so much. His expertise, his just level of professionalism, and everything has just been so good for so long. So I think it's taking everything that you've learned from him and trying to replicate it and make it fit for you and what we have going on now.
How do you sort of put your own stamp on what you learned from him?
Well, I think that's still kind of to be determined. I think he did it at such a high level in everything that he did. So I would say I learned so much from him, but the things that I learned from him were more of just being able to observe the way that he approached every day, every game, more so than the things that we had conversations about. Although, that was obviously very enlightening as well. But obviously Drew played the position different than I'll play it, different than other people played it. So I think really what stands out to me is the way that he approached each day, the way that he approached each snap, everything was so deliberate. And so I would say that is what sticks out in my mind. And then really, just playing the position the way that you play it.
does it affect you guys when Coach Payton names who the starter is, whether it's July or August? I was reading a Bleacher Report article that was saying the later it happened, it affected the offense. Just from your experience in different quarterback battles, does it affect the entire offense as a whole when the starter is named in terms of timing?
Well, I think you're obviously trying to tailor an offense towards specific skill sets or talents, and so I think the sooner that the quicker you can tailor it. And I would say with that being said, our core is going to be the same. I look at the last 4 games that I was playing last season, and we did some things differently, and some things were taken out of the offense, some things were added, and but the core is all the same. So as you go to training camp, as you approach all these days, you're really trying to hone in on the fundamentals, make sure that we kind of have our bread and butter, and that's the stuff that we're going to be really good at. So I don't think that stuff ever changes depending on who's playing.
Now that you have a long view of it, from those 4 games, is there anything from that period where you say, all right, this is what I need to do, and that's what you worked on this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's a weekly progression, so you watch the film after a game and you see things that you could have done better, and so as you go into the next week, you try to implement those things, and I would say that is a very natural progression as a quarterback, and that has been no different this offseason as it was last offseason. As we've talked about before, the emphasis this year is I've really been able to tailor all my workouts and everything to just being a quarterback where I've structured things differently, just knowing and feeling like I won't have to take on as much as I did last year. So that's been the emphasis, but the mindset of getting better every day and improving on what you've done in the past, that hasn't changed.
Is there anything specific that you've honed in on?
There are some things that specific to kind of our offense, things that I would have done differently with some of my footwork, some decision making, based on coverage and stuff like that, that I certainly would have done differently in the moment, and things that I've taken note of. So the footwork stuff has been an easy thing to focus on this off season, and there are other things that I'll continue to work on.
How do you feel like that footwork affected you? Like, how did it? Why did you feel like you needed to change it?
I think that I think every quarterback would tell you that your feet should take you to where the ball goes, and I think as you go throw routes on air, you're just trying to get work in, but then you get into a game and you're trying to replicate a rush and everything else. And so those are the things that I'm applying. I think that I could have sped some things up, based on some routes and some concepts where maybe I was a little bit late on a throw, but I felt like it was because my feet weren't ready to deliver the ball. So without getting too specific, I would say that would be an easy answer.
Hey, Taysom, you mentioned tailoring an offense to the quarterback. Y'all are doing obviously more classroom stuff than on field work during the mini camp. Have you and Sean and Pete talked about, or are there packages of tailoring things more towards your skill set this offseason than obviously at any time before?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the emphasis this offseason really has been a weight room specific deal, to where we have been out on the field with the receivers, the running backs, tight ends, and we're throwing routes that we know we're going to install. But we really haven't had a ton of contact with the coaching staff this offseason. I know that we've, historically here, we've kind of had conversations about the RPO game. And we're continuing to having some conversations that way, but we really haven't had a ton of time with the staff to have a ton of those conversations.
Hey, Taysom, were you able to work out with any of your teammates outside the facility this offseason? And if so, did that kind of help with the mindset going into this year as a quarterback versus your previous, kind of do everything position?
I mean, I would say the first time that I was around a group of guys was about a month ago, and it was down in New Orleans. And then to answer your question, like absolutely, as we're tailoring these workouts, a lot of our field work became very specific to our positions, and so we tailored all of that, specifically to our position group, and I was throwing, and so again, everything was tailored, as a quarterback.
Regardless of who wins the competition, how much is y'all's offensive line really an asset to the passing game, just all the leadership and the veterans you guys have there?
Yeah, ever since I've been here, our line has been one of the best in the NFL, and certainly as a quarterback, you like to see an organization commit to having a good O-line, and we've had great coaches and we've had great personnel there, and as you look forward to this season, as you mentioned, the personnel is not changing, and they've reinforced that, and those guys, everything starts up there. If you can't protect the QB, you can't get a ball off, or you can't run the ball, like you can't do anything, and so everything starts there, and they've done a great job of focusing on that historically.
How is your
Taysom, you mentioned working on less this season, potentially, obviously based on what happens with the outcome of the quarterback competition. But have you been given an indication that regardless of who wins the quarterback competition, that you might be doing less in other positions this year?
I haven't had any of those conversations. The conversation has been, as we finished last offseason, was come in ready to compete and play as well as you can at quarterback, and that's been the extent of the conversation.
How is your friendship or relationship with Jameis? Obviously, you were very close with Drew, you and your families. Not that you have to be close with the guy you're competing with, but I assume you're friends and have a good relationship. Sean talks about the room. How is your relationship, friendship with Jameis as you all compete for this job?
It's great. I love being around Jameis. Jameis is a guy that works really hard. He cares a lot about his craft, and he focuses and works really hard on it. And he's a fun guy to have around. And so this is not, I think there's obviously a lot of conversation here about this competition and everything else, but I'm super supportive to him, and I've felt nothing but support from him as well, and that goes back to last year when I was playing. Jameis was super supportive. He and I had a lot of conversations, and through that process, and he was great through that whole thing. So that has not changed, and he's become a really good friend.
Knock on wood, having a full season of Michael Thomas, if he can stay healthy, how much does that help the offense as a whole? Obviously Drew Brees got a lot of credit for things that have happened, but obviously he's arguably the best receiver in the league. So how much does that help the offense, having a healthy Michael Thomas?
Yeah, I mean, you just can't. Mike T is one of the most unique players I've ever been around, and having him on the field, like, a defense has to account for him on every single play, and so it just creates opportunities for other guys, creates opportunities for me as a quarterback, for the other skilled players out there, and then as you talk about from the perspective of quarterback, if you get stuck or there's indecision on what's going on, that if you give Mike T a catchable ball, he's going to catch it. He's going to do everything he can to compete for it. And he just, I can't say enough good things about him and what he means to us offensively.
Hey, Taysom, I know you haven't spent a lot of time with him, but what have you sort of seen with Ian Book so far?
I like him. I think Ian, he came in here with the right mindset, the right approach. I think he's eager to learn and eager to get on the field, and obviously played at an organization where he won a lot of football games, which is really important as you look at the legacy here in New Orleans. Like, we've been winning a lot of football games, and we certainly don't want that to change, and that's the mindset. So I like him. I think he does some things really well. I think he's got good feet, throws a good ball, and all that stuff. But I think he really has a really good mindset coming in here as a rookie.
With respect to Drew, and I know you guys aren't trying to replace anything he did or erase it or anything like that, but like, is there an element of like establishing I don't want to say a new culture, but like a different way of doing things that fit you? Is it important to kind of, turn the page a little bit and set things up so it's your way of doing things or James's way of doing things? Is there any of that going on?
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I would say you kind of have to do that every year, whether the quarterback's the same or the quarterback's different. You kind of have to find out who you are as a team and then define that process and what it's going to look like. But Drew had a process that worked for him. And again, we're all different players. We all have different ways of learning and thinking and everything else. And so I do think it's important to figure out what that process is for each player, figure out what that process is for me, what it is for other guys in the locker room. And the chances of it looking identical to what it was like when Drew was here is probably not going to happen. Good. Thanks, guys.
Start off with, getting stronger in my lower body, just squats every day and lower body work. But I've been doing a lot of off-season work with D-line vids, just position drills, working on my hand movement, and just trying to stay right, getting ready for training camp.
Bro, what do you feel like you need to do this offseason to improve on what was a solid year last year?
I need to just get stronger this offseason. So, once I get stronger, I feel like everything I did last season will improve. So just get stronger in the weight room so I can apply that to the field, and I'm getting smarter. Continue watching film every day and, seeing what I can do better from last season.
With Trey moving on, do you feel like you got potentially a pretty big opportunity this year to get some more snaps and make some more plays?
Yeah, I feel like the opportunities will always be there, and going into camp, just got to take advantage of my opportunities. But first off, I want to say, as a team, I want to come contribute as much as I can and do whatever the coaches want me to do. So the opportunities will be there for everyone that's showing up to camp.
Do you feel like there's any benefits to just how this offseason's been with OTAs and minicamp, not as much on-field work, more in the classroom? Just what are you guys getting out of that, just spending more time in the classroom?
Yeah, it's really beneficial. This year versus last year, everything was on Zoom. So, some people is better visual learners, and going into the meeting rooms, being around the guys, that's pretty big because it's building a connection to start going into camp. So it's been good to, to work out with some of the guys and compete and just being around my teammates.
How much does the depth at y'all's position really just help the team and the defense as a whole?
It helped the defense as a whole because, we got a lot of guys. Some guys will be playing special teams, and, we got a lot of D linemen, going into camp. So I'm pretty excited to see, going into camp, all of us competing as a whole and getting better.
And what have you sort of seen in the rookie Payton Turner so far?
So far, he's a great learner. I see he's trying to get better every day. Working extra after meetings and working extra on the field, far as position work, and in the weight room, he's a strong guy. He lifts really heavy and he works hard.
Hey, Carl, what did the opportunity to getting on the field a lot mean to you last year? Like, did it help confidence-wise? Did it help just, being able to kind of see the game a little bit more?
Yeah, it will help, seeing the game a little more, more opportunities, you could take advantage of getting on the field a lot. So the opportunities will be there, just got to take advantage of it.
Any more questions?
I know you said that you did a bunch of strength work. I mean, has there been a lot of work on technique too, just with D-line vids?
Oh yeah, D-line vids, man. We big on technique, so I've been working on get off technique. Some of the same things that we're doing now, just hand movements, shoulder turn, footwork, going through the drill. So I make sure I see him 3 times a week. He watched all the film from last season and see, what I need to work on. So D-line vid's been helping me a lot, staying active and, working on my moves and making them better.
You make that spin move nastier than it was too. Some of those videos are
Yeah. I like the spin move, and he's a big spin move guy. So, I've been working on the spin move with him a lot, inside and outside. So, just trying to sharpen my tools. Appreciate you.
Will look like with just kind of the changes that you guys are doing for minicamp and just the benefits you guys are getting towards being more catered to classroom work?
Yeah, look, this year's has been a little bit of an adjustment, but we're trying to get, number one, the priority is the weight room and making sure guys are having a chance to get in the best shape that they need to be in. And then as the schedules progressed, we've been able to really try to maximize their time with on-field individual fundamental work and then also classroom work, and kind of removing the team element for now away from it. So the schedule's worked out well. I know we call this week mini camp, and there's certain things that involves, and yet the schedule hasn't changed too much from what they were doing a week ago or 2 weeks ago or what they're doing this week.
So since this is the minicamp, this is still sort of mandatory, quote unquote, or not, quote unquote?
No, this is mandatory. This 3-day window is, and we're 100% here in attendance.
And this will be the final week that you guys do anything this offseason before training camp?
Yeah, we'll have the rookies here still, and they'll go through what we typically do with them before we let them go. But yeah, this is we've had really good numbers relative to our guys working out. I've been real impressed with really most everyone. This rookie class has done a good job. We'll have a chance to evaluate it obviously a lot more and thoroughly once we start training camp.
Hey, Sean, was there anything you took away from Bill Parcells and how he handled a quarterback competition in the offseason and training camp with the Cowboys?
Yeah, look, it was different then, but, Bill used to say, and I think it holds true today, we pay attention to everything. You pay attention to just what you see without any predisposed thoughts. We'll try to do our best relative to the reps that we have during the training camp and during the preseason games, and then kind of go from there.
And Sean, how strange or how weird is it with Drew not being around? Does it feel different after all this time?
I don't look. I think there's not one specific thing. Periodically he's poked his head in the building. He's been in town for running some errands or doing some things maybe in a business manner, but there hasn't been that moment where, and I'm sure there will be, but there hasn't been that moment here in the off season necessarily.
Sean, I know that the league has a goal of, I think, 85% vaccination for players for the start of training camp. How much do you talk with your team about that? Do you think you'll get there, and just the importance of it?
Yeah, look, Bo and our training room those guys have done a great job. We're, at 100% in the building with staff and coaches and personnel, tier 1 and 2. And we're real encouraged with our numbers relative to the team. I do think we'll get to the 85% that number that we're hearing. So that's encouraging. But I think it hasn't been one big, team meeting or any one specific thing, but it's been more education, one-on-one time. And I think the guys in the training room, headed up by Bo and those guys have really done a great job.
Sean, I'm sure you saw that Jim Fossil passed away. Do you have any thoughts just from your time working with him?
Yeah, I kind of caught me off guard today. I think everyone, because of the nature of his death, and he gave me a great opportunity back in 1999 to be not only the quarterback coach, but then the year later to be the play caller and offensive coordinator. It's first time for me in this league, and that is something that you never forget. And he and I had a real good relationship. His son and obviously his other family members will carry on his legacy, but he made a big impact on a lot of people.
Sean, how tempted were you this offseason to try to be more normal with OTAs and minicamps, given, there's a quarterback battle and there's a lot of holes kind of along the roster as far as starting jobs and such that you haven't had in the past?
Yeah, listen, I like the roster, and I don't see as many holes maybe as others. There's certainly some positions that we're still working on. But, we pay attention to the current climate, and then what are our objectives, and then, what are we going to try to accomplish during the preseason? And it's real easy to keep turning the page, but I think, last year was different, and we understood that this year will be a little different as well. But the key is just being ready when the season starts.
Sean, are you using this week for free agent auditions at all, or like tryouts or anything like that, like you might do in a mini setting?
We would have tryouts, but it wouldn't be auditions. It would be when you're not having team drills, you're not necessarily bringing in. So right. It would be more on a one-on-one basis.
Sean, I know that Alvin said that this maybe non-traditional is more mentally challenging in the classroom because you all aren't on the practice field. Is that a good thing, maybe, since Drew isn't here and he was the person who kind of spoke the same language as you, to concentrate more on the classroom with guys like Alvin and everybody who's going to be maybe more of a leadership role on the offense?
Yeah, I don't think there's any benefit, plus or minus, relative to Drew being here or not being here. We'd be very much on this same schedule if Drew were here. These guys are throwing. I think Jameis and Taysom are doing a great job with the skill players, the running backs, the tight ends, the receivers. They're getting a lot of route work done. And each day the focus shifts a little bit. But again, most importantly, the guys are training. And when they pull up and park in the facility, they're coming to work on their bodies, and they're coming to work on their position fundamentals. And I think that so far that's gone well.
Sean, when you have two quarterbacks competing, is there any benefit to having one maybe win that battle earlier so you can start building around them, or is enough of the offense the same that it doesn't make much of a difference?
Yeah, both of these guys have been here now, so I think the key is getting as much of the work and evaluation reps that you can for both of them. That'll be a challenge, but we'll find a way to do it.
So what stood out to you most about Jameis Winston's approach this offseason, maybe even different than last year when he was taking it as a learning and getting the feel of things? Anything in particular that has impressed you about his attitude or approach?
Yeah, both those guys. When you talk about Jameis and Taysom, both of them are extremely hard workers. Both of them, are doing a great job leading. And they're working together, organizing the throwing sessions. And, you know, I've talked before about the leadership in that room. And I think they're doing a really good job.
Sean, can you give us any insight into Dre Kirkpatrick's visit and if you guys are planning on bringing in any more cornerbacks this week?
Yeah, we would only just report when we do. And you know, I'd leave it at that. We've had a few players in for workouts. We'll list them and we'll kind of go from there. But, you know, I'm not going to project who else might be coming.
Sean, you've spoken in the past about like the emphasis you guys put on development. How would you kind of assess that the development of that young receiver core kind of behind Mike Thomas? The guys coming up the last couple of years.
They're doing well. They're doing very well. And part of that was, you know, a number of those guys played more snaps last year because of injury. And I'm encouraged. I like the way that room is coming together. You know, there are a few guys that got more snaps a year ago because of some of our depth issues, and I think that's helped them.
I know the cap situation this offseason kind of prevented y'all from maybe going out and like signing a you know, expensive player, but did their development kind of play a part in y'all, you know, largely staying with what you had?
Yeah, look, I like the room. I like where we're at, and I like the guys that we have that are here on our roster.
Sean, obviously a lot of production needs to be replaced in terms of losing Trey Hendrickson along the defensive line. For a guy like Marcus Davenport in his 5th year, would it be fair to say the expectations are a little raised for him? And, you know, what's the state of, you know, the pass rushing group in general in your eyes?
I think it looks good. You know, the addition of some of these younger players to the room have helped. Certainly Marcus will be healthy as we get started. Peyton's doing well training. You know, we feel like that position group, we've added some depth, and certainly Trey played extremely well for us. And you know, it won't be just one person. There'll be a series of players that pick up for some of that production. So, but we feel good about the direction we're moving at as a team relative to our defensive line.
Coach, how different will the offense have to be depending on who the quarterback might be? Or will they basically be doing much of the same things?
Yeah, I think to your point earlier, I think it could vary based on who the quarterback is. We've always tried to look closely at the strengths of our players, what they do well, and we'll build a little bit around that player accordingly. And that's something that we did when Drew first arrived here, and we would do with either of these two players.
How does that affect the off-season battle then? Do you almost call different plays depending on the quarterback that's taking the reps?
Yeah, look, there's certain things that you might do just specific to one or the other, and yet there's still an overall philosophical approach that these guys will have learned to play offense. But yeah, you know, it's not a whole different game plan for each one of them. There's certain things that we would do maybe differently with each one, but we'll work that out.
Coach, does the 2 weeks between the last preseason game and the opener help you as far as making a decision there and kind of going into regular season mode and implementing what you want to do?
I don't know that it helps or hurts. It's just, it is what it is. It's the schedule change. It's unique this year. There's a few days required for the players to be off. And then, you know, the plus would be an additional week to recover from any injury that took place. But we'll approach the third preseason game just like we have in the past. We'll play a lot of players, so that won't become the new last one. That'll still be the third one.
Sean, Zach Bond saying he's been kind of focusing on playing Will after playing a lot of Sam last year. What's kind of what would be the adjustment for him making the switch to that position?
I didn't hear the beginning of the question.
Zach Bond said he's kind of been focusing on playing Will after playing a lot of Sam last year. It's just what the the biggest?
Well, look, they're different. Obviously, you're on the field a lot more if you're playing Will. You know, with the amount of nickel the teams are playing, that we're playing. You know, he's someone that has picked things up, and man, you came away from the season feeling real positive about what you started to see with a few of those guys. He's one of them, and so we feel like we've got added depth there. Certainly, we draft a linebacker in Pete, and you know we've got a number of players that we feel like can help us, and then also help us in the kicking game if they're not in a starting role. All right, thank you guys.